How are you, Chase? Good to see you, buddy.
I'm good. I'm great. I was listening to your rant on the Big Ten in Michigan, and I got to be honest with you. I was with Taylor Lewan and Will Compton yesterday, and they were gassing up Michigan and Bryce Underwood and everything that they were going to do. They were talking about them like they were going to be national champions. How do you feel about them this year?
Gosh. Compton was listen. There's no way Compton was gassing up Michigan.
Compton was on. He was like, they're at least going to win 9 games. I'm like, 9 games? Have you seen the schedule?
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it would be 10 wins if Nebraska was on it. Nebraska must not be on the schedule. Wait a minute. Let me look at this.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Listen,
I
am excited. I am excited to see what Kyle Whittingham is going to bring. Michigan went outside the family to go hire somebody and hire a fully formed adult. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And with a coaching staff that has a different way of looking at things. And I'm excited to see what that looks like. I'm not going to lie.
The roster looks really good just from the outside. I'm not a big Big Ten guy by any means because I'm on SEC Nation, so that's where but I'm telling you, when I was talking to Taylor, he made me want to dive in more. And what I came down to, the roster's really good. The coach, I think, is excellent. Demands respect, sort of an old school type guy.
Right.
It's just, for me, it's going to come down to how Bryce Underwood plays. Like, can they protect him? Can he stay healthy? I think the defense is going to be better this year. I think the offense is going to be great, moving guys around. A lot of personnel groupings I've heard from this offensive coordinator. A lot of shifts, a lot of motions, a lot of all these things. So, look, Bryce, if he can be anything like better than he was last year. Remember when he was coming out, he was like, oh, he's the best thing since sliced bread. I mean, if he can get on that level and understand this offense and role, like I'm sort of bullish on Michigan, man.
Okay. I appreciate you delivering that. But Taylor, I try to follow his lead in the excitement category. I'm more of a wait and see guy. But I am genuinely excited about all that. And our radio audience is about to return, and I've been seeing a lot of your material, and I'm eager to get your thoughts out here on my show, right here on Disney Plus and the ESPN app. ESPN Radio is back. Chase Daniel is here on the program. I'm just going to come out and ask you flat out, what are you seeing about Watson on tape, on the All-22? You're already shrugging your shoulders because, it's not like he's lit it up, right? So what have you seen that Todd Monken at least can hang his hat on here to announce him as the starter, Chase?
Not a lot to be completely honest. Look, I haven't been around practice, right? So practice in general, like you got to play well in preseason, but that's only, I think Deshaun's had 27 reps or 32, something along those lines in actual preseason games. He's had way more in practice. So he could be lighting it up in practice, but just taking practice away, because I don't know. You watch the game and it's safe. It's underneath throws. It's missing easy ones. It's feels like he's comfortable within the offense. And then you turn on Shedeur, which automatically, like obviously they were fighting back and forth, and Shedeur's taking shots down the field. He's taking more chances. Obviously those 2 interceptions. But I was really, really surprised that Deshaun was named the starter. And when he had that press conference, I had always thought that Shedeur was probably going to be the guy just because he gives him a little bit of a higher ceiling. And then when that press conference happened, to me, I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, like forget about the fans. The fans are going to boo him regardless. They're going to have 17 away games. I think Daniel Jeremiah said that. I think it's fascinating. I think it's so true. Like he's going to get booed at home. Think about from a teammate perspective, when you hear your guy not take accountability for actions and sort of shrug it off like it's nothing. Like back in 2020, that was real. That happened, and there were a lot of people affected on that. And you had a chance to endear yourself to a fan base who already hates you. By the way, who already hates you, and now you're like, oh, it's personal. I just shut up and play at some point, right? Like that's sort of how I got from it. I'm like, oh, there's no coming back. I was like, oh, he shouldn't even be on the roster. And then they name him the starter. And I've been going back and forth, Rich, a little bit, trying to think just outside the box, because I spent 14 years in the league. I was around a lot of different players and coaches. And what I had to land on was like, Okay, the reason, first of all, I think it was above Todd Monken. I think if Monken had his choice, Shedeur fits his offense style better. Spread it out, 11 personnel, 12 personnel, let this thing rip. If you keep that on the side, but I came down to like, okay, you're going to start Deshaun, and Deshaun's probably going to falter because the team's just not great. Now they have a better offensive core around them, and by week 3, week 4, Shedeur has a chance to come in and step in and be the hero. It's much easier to go from Deshaun to Shedeur than Shedeur to Deshaun. And so that's what I probably think this is. Like Shedeur's going to play way more games, in my opinion, than Deshaun will. But ultimately, like coming full circle on this, I don't think the Cleveland Browns have their quarterback on the roster in 2027 today. Like they have 2 first-round picks this next class, C.J. Carr, Arch Manning, among other people, Trinidad Shameless, they're all coming out. So it's just, it's really like a difficult puzzle to try to fill, but that's where I've sort of circled the last 24 hours and landed.
Well, the famed Rick Dalton gif from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, you didn't have that moment pointing at the screen at any point saying, there's the 2019 Deshaun Watson, there it is, that's why they're doing this? You didn't have any of those, none of them.
That is so far gone, Rich, and what I've seen. And it's not even, this year, it was last year and the year. It's just, when you have stuff that happens to you, whether it be on the field or off the field as an NFL quarterback, you can lose confidence really quickly. And honestly, it's not talked about enough, but getting that confidence back is so difficult. And when you're doing it on the Browns, who don't have a ton of success in this league as of late, maybe if you're on the Rams, you're like, yeah, I can play in Sean McVay's offense. Stuff like that. It's just really hard to get that confidence back. And that's overall, I think from a high level, really what I'm seeing is just a lack of confidence.
Okay, Chase Daniel here. You can watch the breakdown on his YouTube channel from ESPN as well, right here on the Rich Eisen Show. I'm going to go macro on you next here, Chase, because there's new coordinators with teams, right, that are significant, just off the top of your head. Sean Mannion, obviously, Philadelphia. Drew Petzing in Detroit. You can also have new coordinators with some based on the new changes at head coaches. Declan Doyle with Lamar. Joe Brady obviously is now the head coach in Buffalo. You've got Kyler with Kevin O'Connell. So I'm giving you all sorts of choices. Which one do you think is going to be the biggest difference maker in the NFL, where we're going to see a change and an uptick? I'll also give you a new play caller in Denver, with
Davis Webb.
A new set of eyes with Davis Webb calling plays with Sean Payton, I'm sure, hovering in a way.
Yeah.
What do you got for me? What do you think at the end of the day is going to be like, okay, this was the move. This is really working.
You missed 2 out there, and one of them is Brian Fleury from the Seahawks, never called plays for, and the other one's David Blau from the Commanders.
That's right.
I'm going to go with David Blau, sort of an outside the box. So I was teammates with David Blau in 2020 for the Detroit Lions. And when you look at the 2024 season of Jaden Daniels, really I'm picking this because I think Jaden Daniels is going to break out this year again. Okay. I say break out. He had the best rookie year of all time. It's not even close in 2024. I say break out. He was hurt. But I do think that this David Blau scheme, sort of very similar to Ben Johnson, a Darrell Bevel type scheme, if you remember back in Seattle with Russell Wilson, where they're throwing the football down the field, a lot of trick plays, a lot of personnels. They're going to get Jaden Daniels under center way more. They're going to put way more from a mental standpoint on Jaden Daniels at the line of scrimmage, being able to get in and out of the right play. They're going to protect him more. They're still going to run him more. You're going to see an offense that is truly opened up. And so to me, if you can get that guy on the screen right there back to form, like we saw what he could be, and that was his rookie year. Sure, he had a sophomore slump. I hate saying that, but he got hurt, right? He didn't play well even when he was there and got hurt. But if he can get back to form, to me, that's going to be a big deal in that NFC East. Who
are the playmakers he's going to throw to, Chase?
I mean, Scary Terry and Diggs, right? So that's the one thing. That's the one thing that I think that this offense, and I've been around this style of offense, You could have a little bit less skill players or lack of skill players, and the offense is sort of the shining star, if that makes sense. So in an offense like you remember, I'm sure you do. You've been covering the league forever, probably longer than I've been alive. But
careful, come on now. Come on.
I turned 40 this October.
I still cut a youthful figure here. Okay.
Close.
Go for it.
Yeah. But you remember Sean Payton back in like the 09, 10, 11, like the days I was there, won a Super Bowl. You couldn't name, I mean, other than Marcus Colston and Jimmy Graham later, but you couldn't name our skill players. Devery Henderson, Robert Henderson, Robert Meacham. And so I think they're going to have those type of guys. Pierre Thomas, one of the best screenbacks of all time. You're going to have those type of guys in Washington step up.
Yeah. Reggie Bush is called, though, Chase.
Yeah. Well, that was a little later.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
we had Sproles too, but no, I'm saying mainly at receiver.
Sure. No, at receiver. Got you. So long story short, though, interesting. Oh, what about then Philadelphia? What do you expect out of that, staying in that division?
Look, Rich, you're trying to get me some hate on this show because I've been. I love that you asked about Philadelphia. I've been in Philly in the media, like, oh, this guy hates Jalen Hurts. This guy's this and that. Look, it's gonna be the biggest litmus test of Jalen Hurts's career this year, because for the first time now, he's switched offensive coordinators. I feel like every year since college, it's been unbelievable. He's had a lot, and he's played well. And in the 2 Super Bowls he's probably been the best player. But this is going to be a first-time offense for him, meaning the Sean Mannion, Mike LaFleur, Sean McVay scheme, where you're going to have to handle checking in and out of plays. Not saying he can't do it. You're going to have to handle motion and then a second motion, and then we're checking to a run to this. It's going to be an offense that he has to fit in for the first time in his career, not the offense fit him, because they're going to have to get him under center, which he doesn't like doing, but he's actually pretty good at. I think also losing A.J. Brown, I don't think it's going to sting as much as some people think. Sometimes as a quarterback, when you have an outright number one, a stud player, star player, who can be a diva at sometimes and wants the ball, you can get so locked in on him that you don't run the offense. And so I think that mindset needs to go away from Jalen. And I think Devontae Smith's going to have great. I think if Mekhi Lemon can ever practice, like I loved him out of USC. He's a linebacker with the ball in his hands. He'll get down there and block. And you still look at the skill players that they have. He still got Saquon, still got that good offensive line. So a lot is on the line, I think, this year for Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of continuity, too. Like, Shane Steichen is the only guy he's had as his coordinator in back-to-back years.
That's wild.
And I'm going back to college, Chase, you know? And so it's yet another transition, and we're seeing that there. So which quarterback do you think is going to have a leap forward other than Jaden Daniels? You mentioned him. And a leap forward, you're saying a return to his that you're saying what last year was we sacrifice it on the altar of injury, that he's still the same guy and you're going to see it. What do you have for me on any of those fronts? You could throw Kyler in that mix, obviously, but just you're the one who's watching all this film. What do you think, Chase?
I think that you could just go back to that 2024 class with, May and McCarthy and Caleb. And I thought Caleb made that jump last year.
Yep.
I thought Drake May made that jump last year. I thought Bo Nix was right on the cusp of making that jump and was playing really well. I think for me, like Denver is the best team that no one's talking about. I think that this offense with Davis Webb, it's not just going to be the Sean Payton style offense. They're changing some things up. There's going to be some stuff. And like you were saying, we both know Sean, he's going to have like, what do we do and how are we doing it? But I think it'll be good because Sean can sort of zoom out and handle the macro of the team. But I like Bo Nix a lot. And I think the thing that really stood out to me last year where he can really improve on this year is his footwork. And footwork for me is the one thing, because everything starts from the ground up when you're a quarterback. And when you are in rhythm and on time in certain route concepts, that's a really good thing. That's how you want to live. At certain times last year, and this is really a Sean Payton detailed offensive thing, is that if you're in Sean Payton's offense, there's, everyone thinks, hey, there's one type of 3-step drop. There's one type of 5-step drop. There's one type of 7-step drop. It's not the case. Like if you take a 5-step drop, there could be 3 to 4 different kinds of 5-step drop. Say you're throwing a square out to the field. It's the quickest 5 you've ever done in your life. Say you're throwing a curl to the field. It's a slow 5 quick hitch. Say you're throwing a deeper route that needs to, like a fluty route, which is a corner post. It's big 5, 2 hitches. And all of those things, I don't think Bo understood at that time. So when you watched him, you would see him really sped up and him waiting on concepts, and his feet would just go pitter pat, pitter pat, pitter, and he'd get a little, I don't want to call it happy feet because I think he's got a really good pocket presence, but he would take off after first and second read. I think that's the big thing getting into this Davis Webb offense, is he's going to really try to marry his feet with the concept. If he does that, I think they're going to be really successful.
Excellent. Chase Daniel here on the program. Last one for you, sports talk radio question before I send you on the rest of your Tuesday, sir. Who starts more games in Las Vegas this year, Mendoza or Cousins? Chase Daniel.
That is a great question.
I only ask those, Chase. Those are the only ones I ask.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. The questions have been A1. I would say, so when I did a bunch of research on some first-round quarterbacks a couple years ago when I was working for Fox, I had these researchers go back and back and back in the archives and figure out what is the average time that a rookie first rounder, not even a first pick, a first rounder outside of like Mahomes, Jordan Love, and a couple people who just completely took a redshirt year. What was the average time that they sat on the bench and started? Do you know what week? Let's just go back to 2020.
Sure.
Do you know what week any first round quarterback, what would you say is the average time that they start? What would you think?
That a first round quarterback, the average time
gets into the game. Yeah.
Week 1.
Week 1.
3. Week 3. It's close. I mean, right. I was thinking, it's week 1. Like if you're a first round quarterback, you're going.
Well,
and
there's some other on average, you would have to be lower than that. But I did the Price is Right thing. I went low. Try not to go over, Chase.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And it's week 3. And so to me, watching Fernando and watching the Raiders, sure, like, do we think Kirk is going to get this team to the playoffs in the AFC West? Probably not. Like, I wouldn't bet on it. Crazier things have happened. Right. Who's he throwing to? I get that. So the best way to learn as a quarterback, which is the hardest position in sports, is you have to play and you have to go through adversity when you play. If you go through adversity when you play, you can learn and you can teach and you can, and the only thing I would say, like, maybe don't play him early if he isn't mentally there, like in terms of like mentally strong. To me, this dude is, every time you put a mic in front of him, he's saying the right thing. I think he's mentally strong.
Yes.
So I would say that, long-winded answer, but I would say that it would be Mendoza.
Okay. TJ, you want to ask him a question about your guy?
Yeah, real quick. What up, Chase?
What up, man?
I've been watching your TikToks, Instagrams throughout this summer. Love the breakdowns you've been doing for Dak.
Appreciate you.
Because the average football fan will always go, "Oh, well, Dak sucks," and that's their answer to anything. But
no doubt,
I started noticing, man, you over a period of time really going through different clips and just emphasizing how good Dak really is, man. So as a Cowboy fan, I appreciate that. And what do you expect out of him this season?
Look, I was a huge Dak fan, specifically last year. I think that he was a little bit underrated. I would say there was a stretch of 10 or 12 games where you could argue he was playing the position of quarterback better than anyone in terms of going to the right. He's like one of the rare breeds that's like a pure pocket passer, and that doesn't happen very often, but he's so surgical in his footwork and his reads, and you can just tell he's really detailed. And then, with Pickens and CeeDee Lamb and that offensive system, like, they put up numbers, and I think they would have made a run at some stuff if they fixed their defense. And what did they go out and do? The only thing I wanted them to do and everyone else was build up their defense. And what have they done? They've gone out and Malachi Lawrence, Caleb Downs, among others, they fixed every level of their defense. And so I like Dak a lot. I know that, the Cowboys, ESPN talks about the Cowboys all the time and stuff. And I get it. I think this year is a little bit different in terms of, man, a lot of people didn't know what shot he would bring to the table. I thought he killed it and crushed it in every way, shape imaginable, not only as an offensive play caller, but as a head coach handling that whole circus that is on there that Jerry has running. And so if their defense, and I've said this, and I really believe this, if their defense can finish top 12 in the league, this is going to be a playoff team that can win playoff games.
Chase Daniel, you are the man. Thank you for the time. Look for more of my calls and texts, and thanks again, bud.
Thanks, Rich.
That was awesome. Chase Daniel, everybody.